Hey there, gamers, damers, and gayettes. So, we have an alpha game now, and I want an excuse to make another one of these things. Hopefully help some of you transition this June from SE1 to SE2. We're going to go over the controls really quick, and then get to the actual doing the block game part. The scroll wheel you use to change blocks in a group, actually it scrolls through your toolbar. This was awful to adjust to, and now you press R. This should be changed in the future. I'd say my biggest gripe right now is to change colors, you have to annoyingly go over to the paint gun, and this GUI only allows for a few colors at a time. Anything aside from this set of colors, you'll have to grab it from a color palette. This should also be fixed in the future. To grab a color from any color palette, you'll just use the right mouse button to grab that color. You'll of course paint with left mouse button. You can click middle mouse in order to replace an entire color, or you can hold left mouse button for 3 seconds to paint the entire object. You can also use this GUI in order to change the brush size from 1 to 2 to 5 meters. The controls are a lot different. Larger ships feel significantly larger with the target-based control system that they added. And small ships feel like they're smaller. Same controls as before, WASD, forward, backwards, left and right, Q and E for roll. It's just your ships may feel a little sluggish if you don't have enough gyroscopes in them, but I think they did a pretty good job at balancing that. The blocks feel way different. Heavy armor feels like real heavy armor now, and light armor honestly feels like SE1 heavy armor. All the blocks in that game were built out of cheese. I've heard mixed opinions on this. I guess it's up to personal preference. Most of the controls are about the same. Aside from some minor things, one of the big changes with block placements is you need to press J now in order to place a new grid. You can rotate through your blocks in that group with R. You can also hold control for precision mode, which allows you to rotate and align individual blocks, which is useful for decals. Control P for partial copies, and you can click and drag these copies. One of my favorite changes is that you can now add blueprints to the toolbar. And you can click and drag these as well. Although do be careful with the higher complexity ones because you can crash your computer doing that. We have a new form of block organization in the form of this blocks UI. It sure is something, but their newsletter says they're going to change it eventually, so we're not going to worry about it. Blueprints are no longer under F10, they're under the Blueprints tab. Keep in mind, all of these GUI settings are bound to change in the future when they redo it. Alright, now on to the block game. While SE1 felt like a very additive process with its layering, adding components first or going module by module, the SE2 building engine seems much more optimized for a reductive process, similar to chiseling out a sculpture. It's much easier to start with a larger object and then chisel your way down, creating assets as you go, saving some for later, and maybe adding some greebling. Okay, now the most fun part of any build, optimization. Okay, so that world corrupted, so we're gonna do things a little bit different. Hey, you, can you come build me a green screen? Yeah, just like right on top. You think I give a shit about the budget? I don't even pay you. I save so much money by using your unpaid labors. Now go move that camera. Yes, that's good. Now build me a green screen. Jesus, you are the slowest builder I've ever met. Here, let me just do this. God damn it. Gotta do everything myself. Alright, thank you. Something you need to keep in mind is that this is an alpha game, so most of these optimization tricks may change in the future. But the main things to worry about are cavities. It's better to use more PCU to fill in a gap than it is to leave that gap open with lots of edges for the light to interact with. I've noticed when building my pillars, even the lower PCU ones, if there's a weird gap inside because of the way I layer it, then issues can occur. I recommend iteration. Once you build something and figure out its shape, go in, reduce it, the total number of edges. once again, even if you increase your PCU, it will most likely run better. My lower end pillars, my 14,000 PCU pillars, will crash if there's more than 12 of them. However, the sky pillar, I could run as many of those as I want because that is an optimized build despite being 20 or 30,000 PCU. Because this is an alpha game, there's a lot of crashes that are just going to happen. There's going to be a lot of corrupted worlds. You need to be prepared for that. Don't build big project worlds. Like in SE1, for example, I would just scatter shit everywhere. In SE2, I highly recommend saying, okay, this is going to be the world where I build this ship, and this is going to be a world where I build this asset. That makes it to where even if the world is completely corrupted, unrecoverable, the backup is severely gone, at least it's not a complete loss. If you find that your world has disappeared on the world list, you need to go to app data, go to your worlds, grab a backup, and replace your actual world file with the contents of that backup. But do make sure to save all files before modifying them, and do keep in mind I'm not responsible if you somehow manage to brick your computer in the process. Now, as far as actually designing your ship or asset goes, it's the same sort of mantra: design for what you need. Keep in mind how to optimize your build for exactly the specifications that you set out. Is this product or ship being used by a budget-constrained community? Is it a combat ship? This really informs the rest of the building process. However, that's only going to get you so far. I highly recommend keeping everything, even the small grids, to a large grid sort of outline. This makes it to where you're not going to be mismatched by single pixels. Please do not build the main hull of your ship out of small blocks. So forcing myself to keep everything within the 2.5 meter large block allows for a streamlined process. My modules, I try to either keep inside a 2.5 or a 5 meter cube. This allows for things to be easily dropped in. If you have to make a custom shape, I highly recommend saving it for later, because custom shapes, at least for me, take at least 5 minutes to build. And you never know when a world is going to corrupt, so go ahead and just save it to your blueprints. Hopefully they add organization later. Jesus Christ, my blueprints folder is awful. If you want more design tips, go check out the rest of my Shipwright Fundamentals videos. They go more into detail about how to build combat ships, how to paint your ships, how to use projections, all that sorts of things, even though projections aren't in the new game. A lot of that stuff still carries over. This video primarily serves as a transitionary point for people like me who absolutely hated SE2 until I dumped 150 hours into it. Another important thing about your designs is that you should know where to put detail. Heavy armor, unless you really kind of know what you're doing, just keep it the large blocks. The main benefit of this really is that more complex shapes can be jammed into areas without the use of a subgrid. That is what makes this new grid system so powerful, is the flexibility of it. And while I do miss my subgrids dearly, and I wasn't the biggest fan of the new grid system when I first heard about it. I was like, oh, just use subgrids, you cowards. But man, the stability in flight, it's crazy compared to flying around with a bunch of subgrids jammed in my hull. And a question that I get a lot is, should I buy SE2? If you play survival in its current state, no, because it's creative only. But if you play the game like I do, as a space Lego simulator, I've put 3,000 plus hours into SE1, and maybe one of those hours is in survival mode, then yeah, I think it's worth the $30 to pick up. Do keep in mind things do change, and putting your money in an alpha game is always a risk. But this company has a decent track record, aside from minor wars, but we don't talk about that. This game is relatively hard to run, at least well. One of the reasons why you guys are getting this slideshow format halfway through the video is because the game renders at a slideshow when I'm recording anyways. But that's honestly more of a skill issue on my computer's part. I've been having issues lately. But it is something to note. I can run SE1 just fine, but SE2 kind of it heats things up a bit. If you have a low-end machine, do not buy this game. It's already so unstable on a mid-range computer like mine that I imagine having less than like 8 gigs of RAM is a death sentence for your PC, and it's just going to be a bad time. Wait for them to optimize it a little bit. But if you've got a pretty decent PC and you like space Lego games, then this is probably going to be the best space Lego game out there. Once it gets all of its updates, or, if it gets all of its updates, then I do see it superseding SE1. As much as I love that game and I've played it for 10 years, this seems like it's being built on with a lot more foresight in mind.
Vigil, I forgot to record an outro, Vigil. But where you... No. Where are you going? What the fuck?